What would be the point of continuing, to make videos that implied a need, for feminism and everything if, the whole point of all of it was to get laid, considering that it would probably be far more effective, for instance, to actually follow through on my plans to, learn how to play the fucking synth and make music for them. Art, because women love that shit. They eat it up, you know. But the reality of all of it is just, feminism didn't, it might get, if my goal was to get laid, it might get me like halfway there fundamentally, in that being part of the cause has gotten me visibility, access to the opposite sex, and everything, because, I'm generally seen as fairly trustworthy, and, I have a lot of female friends, just not on here, on this particular platform, but, as I've noticed, women largely don't use YouTube. It's just not a thing. I mean, yeah, there are a few girls here on YouTube here and there, but, they're just the demographics skew pretty decisively in the male direction on YouTube and everything. So, you know, so yes, of course, technically speaking, women do use YouTube here and there, but for the most part, they actually don't. This is just not their corner of the video web. They're over there on TikTok. So if I make a video, I should be aware of what the odds are that I'm actually going to get. And I'm not the only YouTube creator that has gotten, and has had this realization at some point, about which way the demographics, split for better or worse. And so some of them eventually start trying to make content for the men and everything, because that's what, YouTube wants. But, this has been pretty decisively, for years and years and years, a den of anti-science bullshit, vaccine skepticism, ran through here. The science denial crowd ran through here. On top of that, what else? What else has run through here? It's always been the toxic MRA community, the manosphere. That one asshole that told people to leave their families. That one cultist, I forget his name. Like every sort of male loser and scumbag has particularly congregated on this corner of the web, and in fact, it has got this seedy reputation that is well deserved and earned, and that the comment section is most definitively seen as Mos Eisley. You'll never, in real life, Mos Eisley, you'll never find a more wretched hive of scumbaggery and villainy. And it seems that YouTube's only real aspiration as far as its comment section is to live up to that horrible, seedy reputation. So, if I hypothetically had come here, to make videos and everything, like, first of all, if my effort was to get laid, I wouldn't even be making videos for YouTube in the first place, because I already know which way the demographics, tend to split on this corner of the web. I would just go straight to TikTok and go straight over men's heads, because, where the girls are and the men, not entirely, but largely aren't, is over there on TikTok, and I've already figured that one out. And then on top of, everything else, it's just, if I had done this, I would have petered out a long time ago. I mean, by the time I came to YouTube and I was making videos for, that were saying stuff that were, pretty pro-woman, at the end of the day, I had been, a Tumblr feminist for 10 fucking years. I had been producing content on there for 10 fucking years and everything. I had been producing content on Similar Worlds. I mean, you want me to pull up the things that I said about things like, it's not new. Like, none of this is new. But I would have petered out a long time ago and just run out of, steam a long time ago to make, any of the comments that I made about things, and to say the things that I said about all this stuff. I've been part of the cause for a long time now, and the only thing that it's really gotten me is visibility. But, hey, let me pull back to some of the stuff that I, said here's one of my contributions. Colorado Sun, abortion rates keep declining. Free IUDs and easier to access to the pill are the reason. The pro-life movement is a piece of human garbage. The movement that's sole objective is to overturn Roe versus Wade, independent of whether or not that will even have a net negative on the number of abortions. It won't. They are against abortion, but also oppose anything that might reduce the number of abortions because the perfect is always the enemy of the good. When they live in fantasy land, those of us on the left who have actually achieved a reduction in the number of abortions. Colorado abortion rates keep declining. Free IUDs and access to the pill are the reason. Go figure. Common sense. I'm looking for it because it's buried because it's been a while. I started spreading awareness and such of something, so, I'm looking for what it is that I said about it, the abortion pill, so I'm yeah, there we go. Right, so deep.web was basically shut down, so dark.fail should be the go-to option to find the darknet markets, at this point. So basically, the Republicans want to turn all of us who are pro-choice into criminals, so either way, so fuck it, I'm going to post everything I know in this post and resources to videos to teach you how to acquire Bitcoin and use it to buy misoprostol illegally from the darknet without getting caught and use it to self-induce abortion. Also, Judge Kavanaugh is too close to being made into a Supreme Court justice. See, this was dated. Roe versus Wade is at risk. It's time to share everything I know. A guide on how to self-administer abortion with misoprostol if you get your hands on it, I linked to it an article from Vice contributor who bought abortion pills from the internet. We no longer live in the age of the back alley or bloody code of abortion, both of which are symbols that inadvertently reinforce the cultural myth that abortions are inherently violent and risky, why some desperate people lacking robust information could resort to dangerous options. Many pregnant people today are choosing to serendipitously use the abortion pill, a single drug, or combination of medications that induce miscarriage at home. Our labs confirmed that the pills were real, that all of misoprostol pills contain just about 200 milligrams of misoprostol, just as much as ones you get at Planned Parenthood. So the first thing around the technology that you need is the Tor browser, and, I'll put all this in the underbar and everything, and, dark.fail will help you find darknet sites and everything. So there you go. Those videos and everything, and I'll have no problem putting this in the underbar to this video and everything. How to break the law and, get yourself an illegal abortion and get away with it, Don't be scared of the deep web. If you get hit by a particularly nasty script that downloads viruses or something, you can always format your computer and reinstall the operating system from scratch. It's not likely. I've tested these sites and they don't rootkit you or virus you. The abortion pill was supposed to be revolutionary, but anti-abortionists have been fighting, to stop that from occurring for a very long time. But the deep web will survive no matter what governments do, even if they shut one down and find its location, many more will sprout up in this place. The ones that shut down, the government can't stop it. Good luck, my pretties. Godspeed to you. Hail Lilith, and everything. So I help women, obtain Bitcoin and everything in order to, essentially flout the rules and illegally obtain, misoprostol and misoprostol, and everything. So, when was this dated, in terms of when the back date for the site was? So that was all the way back in September of 2018. So, I've been, how many years has it been since then, at the very least? So, let's see, 2026 minus 2018, so at least 8 years. So, I've got a long and lengthy history of contributions in terms of articles and pro-feminist writing. It's not new, Don't you think if I was just trying to get laid, that putting this much energy into it would, have naturally worn itself out by now?